Hey guys, welcome to a Nourish Recover session. So today I'm making a mousse, a coconut mousse. So I've got some different ingredients here. I've got half a block of butter. I'm going to use 2 cups of desiccated coconut. I've got some chia seeds here, got some gelatin here, bovine gelatin. That's what's going to make it nice and thick and set. I've got some dates here, some organic dates. Don't use a lot of those, just to have a little bit of flavour in there, but it's very minimal, as you'll see. I'm actually going to use some heather flowers. My wife bought a whole heap of different organic flowers to decorate cakes with. So I've got heaps of them, so I like using them in there. They're quite good, they kind of give it a nice flavour, which is really cool. And then I've got some coconut oil as well, and we're going to use some organic Celtic sea salt. So what I'll start with, I'm just going to put in 4 tablespoons. This is enough to make 2.1 litres worth. So it's enough for a week's worth of them. I usually have 1 a day, sometimes I'll have 2, but 1 a day. That way you've got a week's worth of it. And you can start out just making kind of plain versions like this, and then I make 4 different ones with all different flavours. Use cacao, use macadamia nuts, use cacao nibs, cinnamon, vanilla. So you just want to get 4 of those in there. I found that kind of gets it at a nice consistency. Doesn't set too hard, keeps it fairly soft. Half a block of butter. So whack that in. For the dates, I only use about 6 of these little guys. They're not too big, so as you can see, it's quite small. So you're getting less than 1 of these in each serve. So you're really not getting that much. Pop those in, leave those in the fridge. Buy all your ingredients in bulk for stuff like this, because it's so much cheaper. You know, obviously test out the recipe first before you invest in buying 10 kilos of something. But you know, usually you're going to find it a lot cheaper to do it this way rather than buying individual things in smaller quantities. Plus you get the bulk in the packaging, which is much better. I'm just going to have 2 teaspoons, heaped teaspoons, so it's about a full tablespoon of salt. If you want to learn more about salt, definitely read that Salt Fix book. Very informative. It's almost as full on as the whole saturated fat thing. Here I've got coconut oil, so I'll whack that in. 1, you get 2 massively heaped tablespoons. Want more fat, put more fat. I'll put a bit more in actually. I like it fatty. That's cool, put that on top of there. Scrape that off. So yeah, getting 20 litres at a time of your coconut oil definitely saves. I get 10 kilos of the desiccated coconut in a big bag, which I use, and it's a far better way to make kind of coconut cream or any kind of coconut based dessert rather than getting canned coconut cream, which is pretty silly, transporting water over the planet, or especially even buying your whole coconuts as well and transporting those over the planet. So I'll put a decent amount of these in. It's got a nice floral smell to it. Chia seeds I always put in after the hot water. I just find it gets too thick too quickly if I add them before. So I'm going to pour in the hot water there. It'll kind of seep through the coconut. And then you just want to give it a bit of a stir first. Just make sure it's kind of turning through. Save a bit of electricity as well. And then just make sure that water's all the way through. Hot water is your friend when you're working with butter and coconut oil. Just saves a lot of time. And this is my favourite kitchen utensil, is the super scraper. Definitely a worthwhile thing if you're eating fats, because it's amazing to think how much actual fat kind of ends up down the sink or thrown away because people don't scrape it properly. Make sure you're on a low setting. Gradually build that up. So that's going to than letting it grind away, I like to kind of stir it through a bit. Makes it a bit quicker, especially when you're making this much and the mixture's quite thick. But yeah, the Vitamix is a pretty good blender, goes the distance, worthwhile investment. There are some kind of knockoff versions that are quite good as well, you know, that are probably half the price. I'll just use this to get that coconut oil melted off that spoon. But definitely, you know, getting a decent blender for stuff like this is really important, because once you start enjoying these, it's so much cheaper than eating desserts out, and it's a really good high-fat dessert. Obviously, if you're starting out, you could use a bit more date, and then as you get more used to the fat and you really enjoy it, and you can tolerate it more, and you're more fat adapted, using it for fuel better, then you can increase the fat, decrease the carbs. Turning that up, that's all it needs. Now I'm going to add some cold water to top it up. And I'll fill that right up to the edge. And then I'll add some chia seeds about halfway along, just so they get a bit of water on them and they stir through nicely. When it's setting, those chia seeds are going to absorb that moisture. It's always good to try and keep things as clean as you can as you're going along. Part of cooking and preparing food is also cleaning it up. So I know a lot of celebrity chefs and people that are amazing at cooking food, but not so good at cleaning up. And they love to teach people these amazing recipes with all these different ingredients and using all these different utensils, which they've developed these methods when they're not actually cleaning up after themselves. So yeah, part of the efficiency model is to be able to get it all done quickly, efficiently, and cleaned up. Last thing you want is, you know, to have to do all that extra washing up and cleaning. So I like stuff with minimal equipment and few ingredients, but there's quite a few in this. So you always got to watch out for that speed on the blender too. But even though it's on low setting, as you can hear, it's speeding up a little bit. It's getting a bit of pressure there. And also too, because you're using hot, always make sure you don't have that on tight. It will explode if it's got hot water in there. Now it's cooled down a bit, it's been better. But I always leave the top off and just keep my hand there. You know, if you start slow, you won't really get the pop. But it's always good to be safe. And get your smoothie or your mousse everywhere in the kitchen. It makes more work cleaning up. So that's it there. And then I'm just going to pour that out into 7 different cups. For the gym here, we've got a couple of people that have them post-workout. I always, you know, just get through to lunch. Watch out for the splashes. But just pouring that in, and you can put that into your 7 cups for that 2.1 litres. Chuck it in the fridge, and then that's going to set. Depends on how cold that fridge is and how much hot water you use at the beginning. I only use enough to try and melt it, and then add that cold water second, so this whole process is a bit quicker. Uses a lot less energy, a lot less strain on the fridge. But these are awesome. You can use all different ingredients in it to make different flavors, and I also make nut butters, like with coconut oil, macadamia, desiccated coconut, and then I'll use cinnamon, cacao, and make all different flavored nut butters. So then if I make a base for the whole week, I just add a different nut butter on the top of it when I eat it, and that keeps it interesting, keeps that diversity through the week. So I can't wait to see your clips on it, photos on it, questions on it. Enjoy, guys.